Hey everybody, it's the Trout, and welcome to another episode of the Trout Show. Thank you so much for stopping by. I have to admit, I'm a sucker for a person that can play a blues harp and get all that great sound out of it during a blues tune. Now, I never was good at it. I tried and I just gave it up because I just don't have the knack for it. And over a year ago, I had the opportunity to interview one of the great Grammy nominated blues harpists, that's Bob Corritore. And Bob was kind enough to be able to play on one of my songs, my last album. So when I find out about somebody that's young and talented and coming up in the music industry that is a great blues harpist, I want to talk to him. And that's exactly what I did. I found a 16-year-old blues harp guy out of Mississippi, yes, 16, who got his inspiration by watching an Ed Sullivan Show. Now think about that. 16, watching Ed Sullivan? Kind of strange, isn't it? Young Rell is his name, and he's a great harpist. So I hope you stick by and listen to this show because it's a great story about a young man who's very talented, but also has his head on straight, and I think you'll like it. So up next, Young Rell, 16-year-old blues great coming up, and you're going to hear a lot about him in the future. That's next on The Trout Show. How did you get exposed to playing the harmonica? What was something about that you said, this is what I want to do?
Well, I was watching a James Brown video on YouTube one day.
Which song?
I Feel Good and
Uh,
Papa's Got a Brand New Bag live on the Ed Sullivan Show.
yep.
And under that, there was this Jimmy Reed song called Oh Baby,
Hmm.
or You Don't Have to Go. And I click on it and I'm like, what in the world is this? And I hear the harmonica, which at the time I didn't know it was a harmonica.
Hmm.
And so then I go to the store and I see these little toy harmonicas in the key of C. They're plastic. They're just toys, but they're somewhat in tune. And so I buy one. They're just $1. And that's how it started. And I tried to learn the You Don't Have to Go solo. Which I kind of got it, but it's on an A harp in second position or first
Right.
position, whatnot. So I had to wait until I got some better harps. But after Jimmy, then there was Billy Branch and more people and so on and so forth.
So you got bit. Okay, I think I'm working now. I was having trouble with my computer there for a second. So you got bit by the blues by watching. First off, you're watching Ed Sullivan, which is funny to me,
Mhm.
and
I-
you watching James Brown, which we all would laughed about that. I was a kid. I was about your age when he came out, and everybody watched him dance around. Everybody said he had ball bearings in his shoes. Which, of course, that wasn't true at all. But that's
Right.
this. So you go get a harmonica in the key of C, and then you figured out. When did you figure out, though? What did you learn, though, that in the key of C is really not what people play? If you give me a key of C, that means I'd have to play. Well, I guess I'm starting G, and you start. I guess
Right.
yeah, yeah, yeah. When did that kick in? How did you figure that out?
Um, that kicked in I was probably 8 then. It probably took me until 3 years ago to figure that out. I just started taking it serious about 3 years ago. And I'm playing, and Billy Branch goes, that's not the right harp, you know. And so that's what really got me into studying the actual harps, the keys of the harps and what
Right.
cross and first position, third position.
So really got serious. How old are you? You're 16 now, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you got serious about it about 3 years ago. You liked it, but you got serious about it.
Yes, sir.
Kind of funny because I'm sure your friends don't even know anything about the blues, or they don't. I'm surprised they would know anything about the blues music.
Well, I was bullied for it actually.
Really? Tell me about
Which
that.
is, well, when I was going to the school that I was going to in Leland, Mississippi, I was in third or fourth grade, and I go in for talent day and I take a Jimmy Reed record called High and Lonesome that my grandfather gave me. It's a 78. and it's the first record Jimmy Reed ever recorded on Chance Records,
Oh, wow. Dude, you know
and
your stuff. That's cool.
it's worth $500. But they went in my book bag, pulled it out, broke it somehow. I think they tried to do it because
Yeah.
they didn't like me. I don't know why, but and so that kind of that hurt a little.
Yeah.
And so um I said, you know what? I'm really gonna one day I'm gonna play this music and just make it something that they'll have to come see me to hear it. They'll want to come see me, you know. And so I just yeah.
It's
They didn't like the blues.
so you started playing it, and I think it's funny that you said, and I understand this. Okay, you broke my 78 record, which wasn't even mine. Of course, I remember my parents had those too, but they're easy to break, or they're not like vinyl.
I have a lot of them, and I've
Do you
broken
still?
quite a few.
And trying to find a place to trying to get to find a 78 player is tough. I'm sure, it's hard to find them. And when they did those as a side company, those were all cut live.
Right.
They didn't sit down and do multi-track recording. They just played, it was like, so when you're hearing Jimmy Reed, he's playing live in the studio or wherever that's,
Right.
so they had to be good because it's like they had to keep taking it until it was good. So you get bullied by people because they don't like the fact that you have a record. Of course, the fact that it was worth $500 was
Well,
really,
I'm sorry to cut you off, but it
that's all
wasn't
right.
the fact of me having a record. There was more of we don't like your style. Me myself, I'm not with sagging pants, and I like to tuck my shirt in. I like to wear a belt. I like to wear my glasses, maybe a bow tie or a tie,
Uh-oh.
a watch, a baseball cap, and look presentable. I've
Right.
always been that type of person. And to them, it's that's my granddad does that, or that's my grandfather's type of music. And so they would mess with me about that. And one day I was jumped, actually,
Oh, wow.
but it wasn't the fact of me having the record. I'm sure half of them didn't know what a record was until, you know,
That's true. They wouldn't know. What is that thing? That's a valid point. But I think what's interesting to me is the fact that you want to become you're driven not to rub it in her face so much, but you're driven because you like what you do. But how interesting it would be that you got so important or so big that the same people that said, and that guy's look at that dude over there, the way he's dressed and all that, giving him crap. And next thing going like, who is that on the stage? That's real. Wait a minute. That is sweet revenge, my friend. I mean, it really is, but it takes it more than that. And so you've been playing now for a little bit. And have you had an opportunity? I know you were at the King Biscuit thing.
mhm.
That's where Bob met you, obviously. But where have you had the opportunity to go out and play? I mean, trying to
Um,
get yourself exposed.
well, I've played Ground Zero, both Ground Zero blues clubs, maybe two times, three times a piece between the two, the one in
And what
Biloxi and
town?
the one in
Where are they
Clarksdale.
located? Oh, in Clarksdale.
One's
Okay.
in Clarksdale and one's in Biloxi, Mississippi.
Okay.
I've played the King Biscuit once before with Charles. Um, there's been a lot of small clubs. Uh, I've played Reds, in
Mm-hmm.
Clarksdale
Mm-hmm.
with D Carp. There's just been a lot of small places, which is fine because, it's just to get a little boost.
Right. Well, you get better the more you play out.
Right,
It really does help to be in a band or at least play perform all the time because you don't want to screw up in front of people.
right.
So, have you started writing or are you just doing covers?
Well, I have at least 200 songs I've
Oh,
written.
well.
Um, we're working on trying to get an album, and we've got that in the works,
Yeah,
trying to.
I was told that.
Um, so that's
Well,
that. I just keep writing and looking for more inspiration, and
so what do you do? Do you just use your phone or how do you record when you do stuff?
For demos, I have an interface
Okay.
and a microphone, and I'll just play it. I'll mic the amplifier, a little Dan Electro amplifier,
Hmm.
and I'll record the guitar and the bass and whatever. I'll track it separately or whatnot, and then I'll record my vocals on my phone instead of having to do it with and that's a demo, I guess.
Yeah. Have you thought about what your long-term goal is? I mean, your short-term, obviously, hey, let's go to the studio and get an album done. But right now, at 16, what would be the ultimate thing for you to do with your music?
I wanted to reach other people and touch other people. I want not only traditional blues, like how the Howling Wolf and the Muddy Waters and the Babyface Leroy and the Tampa Red. I want not only the traditional blues that I play to touch people because nobody really plays the real traditional blues, and there's few, Bob, no kids like me though,
No, no,
you
no.
know.
Yeah.
I want it to reach people, the people of today, because it's it's something that's obscure in a way for us. We want to hear the rock blues now, and the hard stuff, which is
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
I try to incorporate a little of the modern sound into my stuff, but I wanted to reach people and touch people and let people hear my story, and maybe my story can help somebody else. You know, um, I wanna go places. I've never been out of the state of Mississippi, um, except to go to Arkansas for the King Biscuit twice. Um, I just really want to touch people with the music, you know.
You know, it's funny if you listen to the music um, back then. It was what we call, it had a lot of space in it. There wasn't a lot of action going on. I mean, and you know, they're just basic stuff. And you go back to Robert Johnson stuff, which he very few. I'm sure you listen to most all those. It's very few people that. I mean, he didn't hardly record anything before he died, and it's just him and his guitar.
I
And
think he did
and
29 songs.
yeah, it wasn't a lot. Yeah, and of course the recording back then was not that great. And it's like, man, wouldn't it be great if those people were alive now and see what they really sounded like? What they do. But the history of what you do, and I love what you say. It's so taken up by so many famous musicians, older musicians like Eric Clapton. He's a huge blues guy. I mean, Eric Clapton talks about blues. He'll tell you what part of the, and I'm in a state where there are a lot of blues people from,
Mhm.
and to me, that's where the history of the music is now. And the thing about it too, and you know this, it's not difficult music.
Right.
It's 1 4 5 or some variation of that, three
It's
chords or
not
some.
difficult to play, but
No,
it has to come from here. If it's
that's
not from
the
the
that's
heart,
the key. That's the 100% of the key. And when you listen to certain songs, I was a big Howlin' Wolf guy. Um, most of the older guys, I liked their music, but it does. That's really what the key is for the blues. It's coming from the heart, and I think it's hard, and I get concerned about people that, and I'm glad to see people like you because younger people don't take it up. I don't want it to disappear. I don't think it ever will disappear,
it won't.
but it's not mainstream. But the other part of it is, though, blues people, both the performers and the fans, they're much into it. They're very loyal. So, and there's something I don't know what it is about it for me, and maybe it does for you. It just kind of, I just love hearing people, and especially harmonica. I've tried it. I'm not very good at it. So when you start wailing out on that thing, and I look at it and go, okay, there's 10 holes there. That's it. you know, and you can make it sing. I'm going like, okay, okay. But that to me is what makes the thing happen. I'm a lead guitar player, so I can play blues all the time. But to me, I'd rather have someone like you come in and go, hey, do 8 bars on a harmonica, blow that thing so it sounds good. But I think it's interesting. I was going to ask you too about, now tell me a little bit about your family. Do you have brothers and sisters, or what's?
Well, on my father's side, I have brothers and sisters, but on my mother's side, I'm the only child. If I'm not mistaken, on my father's side, I have 13 or 14 brothers
Whoa.
and sisters.
So who do you live with?
I live with my mom.
Okay. So it's just you and your mom.
It's just me and mom.
And what does mom say about Young Rell and his music career?
She loves it. She supports me 100%. And that's the thing is support. Wolf's mother didn't support him. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of the old guys, their families didn't support it. It was the devil's music.
Yeah.
But my mom supports me 100%. She loves that I do it. She didn't know much about it, about the blues. She knows the music, but she didn't know much about it and about the history. So it's really fun to teach her about it as well as to teach other people about the history of the blues and the early guys.
What does she listen to? What does she like listening to?
She listens to more of like soul music, which is like
Ah.
the Otis Reddings
Oh
and the
yeah.
the uh the James Brown and the Solomon Burke. Which
Oh
I love
yeah.
all. I
Solomon Burke.
love
I haven't
all
heard it.
forms of music.
Yeah. Solomon Burke. I haven't heard that name for a long time. I figured your mom was probably an R&B person or a soul person for some reason. You're probably in that age group.
Can't
Um,
forget Joe Tex either.
oh yeah. I used to play a song by him. What was that thing? Show me a woman loves a man. I just one of those Joe Tex songs. I made da 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 da
Skinny
da da
legs
da.
and all.
Yeah, skinny legs and all. I think that's what it is. And that little riff. Da 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 da.
Yeah.
I remember playing it years ago. I played that in a band. It was always a fun song to play. You're just kind of waiting on things to happen. Is that kind of where you are right now, as far as what's the next step for you?
Um, I'm waiting, but I'm also trying to get it to happen as not as quick as possible, but I'm trying to I want it to come at its own speed. I don't want to rush it.
Yeah.
Most people try to rush it.
Yes, sir.
I don't want to rush it, but I do want to push it along a little bit. I'm not gonna sit here and just I want to be active with it.
Yeah, you have to be because it's your career and you're driven. And I'm going to tell you something. When you're, I say this to all musicians, and I've talked to musicians that have been in the business for years, some very well-known musicians. Everybody starts young. We all get touched in the head when we're very young, and it doesn't go away. Never goes away. Which it shouldn't. And I used to have people come up to me and see me play, and they go, "Man, I used to play," and I'd go, "Why don't you play anymore?" "Oh, I'm too old for it." "No, you're not too old for it. You're never too old for it. Not until you're dead, you know.
Right.
Even if you play in your bedroom, you're still playing, you know. And I still bring out music all the time on kind of on a yearly basis, and mostly for my own benefit, you know. People listen to it, but you're in a situation where you just kind of have that idea already. You got to move it along. You can't sit around. How many songs have you put out for people to hear? Is it all on Instagram or have you put it
I don't
anywhere?
have any. I don't have any songs that are out because the originals that I've written, the 12 that's going on the album, those aren't out. But I do plan on taking some of the other originals and maybe making a few videos, putting those up sooner. Yeah,
Well, and then, even if you have to do covers to get people to hear you, that's not a bad thing either.
I do a lot of covers.
So, who's your favorite player? I mean, you talk about Jimmy Reed, but who's your favorite harmonica player? And you may not have
Favorite.
one, but your favorite ones you listen to.
I can't pick one, but there's Easy Baby. There's Billy Branch, who taught me my first harmonica licks and my first real harp stuff. There's uh there's Sugar Blue, uh there's Jimmy Reed, Howlin' Wolf, Sonny Boy number one. Then there's Sonny Boy number
Well, number
two.
two, yeah. I actually wrote a song
Um
about him. I forgot what it's called now. I think it's called just Sunny. It's number two. The son,
Ja
yeah.
Jazz Gillum, um, most of the traditional guys, Sonny Terry,
Oh yeah, forgot about sanitary.
those are my main guys. Jimmy Reed,
So how much
there's
time do you spend playing? I mean, in your house or whatever you do. Do you come home after school and go, I got to do something, or you just, I,
well, between harmonica and guitar, I try to balance the two. So, are you saying practicing or are you
no, no,
saying
no, just
like
playing.
as in, well, I'd say 5 or 6 hours a day.
Yeah, yeah. And nobody has to tell you to do that, do they? You just do it.
No, nobody
And
tells me.
have you been learning how to play guitar by yourself? Has somebody been teaching you?
Well, I've been playing guitar for about 9 years, same
Oh,
amount of
okay.
time as harp, and I teach myself everything self-taught. Harmonica, guitar, bones, everything's self-taught.
And you know what's good about now is um, all the people on YouTube. Even if you don't want to learn from somebody, you can watch the old players play. Like you said at the beginning, you said saw something on Ed Sullivan,
Yeah.
and then you can go back and go, oh, there's a Jimmy Reed song. Where's Alan Will play? So you can actually play it. And if you know anything about it, you can watch how they played it. You went up to King Biscuit. You performed up there though, didn't you? Or did you not?
Yeah, I played my own set. I played a set with Carl Weathersby, who played for Albert King. He was
Oh,
a member of Billy Branch and the Sons of Blues. He was a member of that band for a good 15 years in the 80s. I played with Lonnie Shields for a whole set, and I sat in with Nick Moss, the Nick Moss band. So
and what was the response?
it was great. It was.
Did they give you any indication that they give any tips?
Well, Carl, I think he liked me because he didn't give me any tips, but he smiled and he's like, I like you. You play like Carrie Bell, that is. He's like, I really like your style. He says, you don't play like a kid.
No, no, and that's the thing about it. Excuse me, because the thing about the blues is you either sound like you know what you're doing or you don't. There's nothing in between. And especially when you're playing the instrument you play, because you start wailing. And I will tell you, a lot of famous people, Mick Jagger still plays harmonica. Billy Gibbons, a lot of people don't know that Billy Gibbons with ZZ Top was a great harmonica player, but he quit playing it so much. I used to see him when they were just starting out. A lot of people play harmonica, but you don't hear about it. And they started out playing the same thing you do. So what would you like to play though? Do you like playing guitar? I mean, you obviously like, are you,
I
which
play
one do
both.
you play both?
When I'm on stage, I'll play maybe if I have an even set list. So if I have 6 songs, I might play three with harp and three with guitar. You
Okay.
know, um, because to me, it's all about versatility. If I could play piano, I'd put down the guitar and harp and get on the piano. You know,
Well, I think it's funny because it's true. Because a lot of people, I can play basic chords on the piano. And when I record, I can do that because I can add stuff into it. But a lot of people I know are famous or very good piano players, and that's where they write a lot of their songs on piano. But I write all mine on guitar because that's what I've been playing my whole life.
me too.
So when you play guitar, are you learning how to play lead, or are you just kind of filling in for what you do on the
Well, I play
harmonica?
both.
Oh, you
I
do?
play
Okay.
both. Me myself, I'm all about complimenting a person. So if I'm on stage playing behind a harp player, I might throw some Lewis Myers or Eddie Taylor in there because it's all about complimenting the harp player. Just like if a guitarist was on stage with me, I'd want him to compliment me. I wouldn't want him to step on my feet, and I wouldn't want to step on his.
Right. Right.
So it's that type of thing with me and the guitar. Sometimes I might play a song that's dominantly based on lead, like Larry Davis's Texas Flood, or I might play a song like a Jimmy Reed song, which is basically dominated by harmonica
Hmm.
because it's Eddie Taylor on guitar, it's Jimmy on harp, and it's mainly harp, that pulls people to Jimmy, and the voice,
Yeah.
and the laziness. So the laid back, he had a lazy drawl to his voice, but
Excuse me.
I'd
Yeah.
say his style was more laid back. I wouldn't say lazy. So I'd
And
rather have nice clothes though, than a $50,000 guitar. I'd rather go on stage looking sharp and
well, yeah, I gotcha.
but
I
I
gotcha.
want to sound sharp too, but
But you want to look sharp.
I want to look pretty good too. I've been around the world. I covered a lot of space. Never found no one who could even take your place. Baby, that ain't it. Baby, I need your love. Well, if it ain't me, darling, then who you thinking of? I realize, I know I did you wrong. All I beg of you, darling, is honey to please come home. That ain't it. Baby, I need your love. Well, now, if it ain't me, darling, then who you thinking of? Bought me a home, an Eldorado too. Nothing in this world can take the place of you, baby. That ain't it. Baby, I need your love. Well, if it ain't me, darling, then who you thinking of?